I'm Neil, and I'm the teacher.
And I'm Sean, and I'm the deal maker.
Together, we're the Rise Guys.
If you are gearing up for the RECA exam, this is going to cover the single biggest game changer for your studies. It is the one strategy that for some reason most students just completely overlook. So let me ask you straight up, are you studying for the RECA exam the wrong way? Because so many students put in weeks, even months of hard work only to walk into that exam and feel like they prepared for a totally different test. And that leads us right into the biggest problem. I like to call it the memorization trap. It is so easy to fall into. And honestly, it is the number one reason people really struggle with this exam. On the left, you have got how most of us naturally study. We make endless flashcards. We memorize definitions. We try to cram specific rules. But on the right, that is what the exam is actually about. Taking all that knowledge and applying it to messy, complicated, realistic situations with clients. Most students are studying for a knowledge test, a test of recall, but RECA did not design a knowledge test. They very deliberately built an application test. They do not really care about what you know as much as what you can do with it. It's one little change in perspective is everything. And check out the proof. A massive 53%, we are talking more than half the exam, is dedicated to professional conduct. That is not about memorizing facts. It is about making sound ethical judgments in the real world. The exam is structured around an educational framework called Bloom's Taxonomy. The whole point is to move you up a ladder of thinking away from simple recall at the bottom and up toward applying, analyzing, and evaluating complex situations at the top. A recall question is simple. What is the definition of a material latent defect? But an application question gives you a whole story about a seller who quickly patched a crack in their basement and asks you as the professional what your obligations are. And you should know RECA has actually doubled down on this. Their newer exams include things like matching questions and even multiple select questions where there might be more than one right answer. You can see how just memorizing definitions will not get you very far with those. So how do you actually do it? How do you study this way? Let us build your strategic study plan right now. It is a simple 3-step process. First, just go through your course materials, one lesson at a time. Second, for every important concept you find, do not just write down the definition. Ask yourself, what is the professional principle here? And third, jot down a quick, messy, real-world scenario where that principle would actually matter. If you only do one thing differently, let it be this. For every single concept you study, stop and ask yourself this one question. How would this apply to a messy, realistic client situation? That is the magic question. Let us talk about the official RECA to practice test. This thing is not just another quiz. You have to treat it like it is your one and only full dress rehearsal. I mean it. Time yourself, turn off your phone, and take it under real exam conditions. It is the only way to know where you really stand. And here is why that is so important. The practice test gives you a score and a full competency breakdown, whether you pass or fail. It shows you exactly where you are weak. The real exam is different. If you pass, you just see pass. No score, no breakdown. But if you fail, RECA does give you a competency breakdown showing which areas need improvement. So the practice test is still your best dress rehearsal because it is the only place you get full feedback regardless of the result. And you can always bring your results to the weekly webinar so we can work through some improvements together before you write or rewrite. When you get right down to it, this whole approach is about preparing you for the job itself. As the instructor, Neil Fawcett, always says, education teaches you how to stay out of trouble. Every single thing you learn is another tool in your toolbox to manage risk. And that is exactly what this exam is trying to measure. When you study for application, you're actually building the foundational mindset you need for a long, successful, and ethical career. The exam is going to throw dozens of scenarios at you. And in every single one, it is asking a simple question. What would you do? So the real question you're answering on the exam and every day in your career is this one. Who will you choose to be? New webinar summary every week. Subscribe so you never miss one.